This is video 60, and the title is My Gomer. My Gomer. Of all the types of people I've come across, there are two that stand out. They are the ones who left a mark. One that would cut your face, the other touches your heart. Extremes of either end of the pendulum swing for sure. This story is about a fellow I met while stationed in Germany. He had just reported to our company. 46 years have passed, and I cannot remember his name, but I won't forget him. He was from either Kentucky or Tennessee. I'm not sure of that either. If you have seen Jim Neighbors play Gomer Pyle, you understand the title of this story. I don't know how he was directed to me or by whom. He started coming into the motor pool every day and asking me to assign him a truck. I asked about his MOS. I don't remember that either, but it wasn't truck driver. After the third or fourth time, I told him I would have to clear it with Mr. Tyler. He was the warrant officer I worked for. He oversaw my buddy Bullock, who ordered all the parts, etc., that we needed, and me. I never really saw him much except to say good morning. Their offices were upstairs at the other end of the shop. Mr. Tyler did some checking and told me to go ahead and assign him a truck. So I did. I assigned him a 5-ton tractor. When I did that, I advised him that I had two of the mechanics assigned to remove and replace the antifreeze in all the trucks, and that they were tracking which trucks had been drained, which were filled, and which had to be serviced. Leave the antifreeze to them. I covered the technical inspection sheet with him and how to fill it out and then give it back to me to take care of any deficiencies. Off he went to check out his truck. After a few minutes, I looked out the window and saw him carrying a 5-gallon pail from the lube and oil shed. I didn't think much about it until I saw him with the second pail from the shed. I asked Willie Gay, one of my mechanics, to go out and check on him and see what he was doing. It became apparent that he didn't know as much about vehicles as he thought. His truck was one of those that had the antifreeze already drained. He thought that was where the oil went. He filled the radiator with oil, somewhere between 5 and 10 gallons. No harm done, as he had not started it up and circulated it. The guys just drained it out and put it back in the barrel. At least we knew that radiator wouldn't rust. Willie went over things with him, and eventually he had one of the best trucks. On the evening of the oil escapade, I only worked about 10 hours for a change and headed back to the barracks. Jerry, another of my mechanics, had the room next to mine, and we planned to watch Bonanza on German TV. That was a real treat. They dubbed the program in German, and the voices weren't even close. Haas would get on his horse and say, "Auf Wiedersehen," in a high-pitched girl's voice. After dinner, I grabbed a bottle of scotch and a couple of cigars and went to Jerry's room, and we settled in for the show. We were watching the show, and then we heard some music. We turned the TV down and realized the music was coming from down the hall. I guess anyone reading or listening to this has heard Charlie Daniels or the Celtic Girls playing violin. There was always additional background music. Not this time. Pure violin. Everyone on the floor stepped out into the hall to listen. It was our Gomer. It was the most beautiful violin music I've ever heard. When he played something soulful, tears would involuntarily run down your face. I've never been impacted by music like that again. It was wonderful. The next day, he came into the motor pool, and I asked him to come into the office. I asked him where he went to music school and learned to play like that. It turned out that it was his granddad's violin. He had shown him some chords and runs when he was little. Ever since, all he's had to do is listen to a piece of music, and he just picks up the violin and can play it. Played by ear. He could not read a note of music. That violin was as much a part of him as his hand or arm holding it. I was the oldest in my group. I had just turned 21. Everyone else was 18 to 20. We all had the lesson of you can't judge a book by its cover embedded in our soul, thanks to our Gomer. Jim Neighbors was a good singer, but our Gomer was a tremendous violinist. Well, that concludes the story of My Gomer. He was quite a fella. As usual, folks, I wish everyone all the best.